Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Before coming to Primal Chaos City, he and I didn't have too much of a difference in strength. But now, I can't even pass the second level and yet, he's past the third already. Jiang Mo gripped his fists tight. Shrouded in chaos energy, the ancient city that had been around for trillions of years, Primal Chaos City. I'm really not used to long hair. Luo Feng waved his hand, a sharp energy wrapped around it and he swiftly cut his hair to its original short state, following which he jumped down from the balcony onto the alley. Luo Feng, you've successfully passed both the second and third level. You've been rewarded 6,000 points and another 2 chances to study the tablet. What are your plans? Within his mind, Barbata's voice resounded. I've passed the third level. Since that is the case, I have the right to go listen to the strong warriors give classes. Luo Feng smiled. As for the 6,000 points, I cannot waste them. It's only because I am a newcomer that I get 10 times the amount. When I leave Primal Chaos City, I am afraid that acquiring points would be extremely difficult. Points, I can only acquire them according to the Virtual Universe Company's methods, hence I have to save them. As for the 2 times of study, it's been about 10 years since I've studied the 9 Universe tablet. Since I have many questions by now, I'll go use one of those chances today. Luo Feng walked in the alley, very quickly reaching a main path. As for the second chance, there's no rush at all. I'll use it in the future. His movement was like lightning, very quickly reaching the entrance of the city leader's residence. This territory was huge. Luo Feng followed the familiar paths quickly to the huge secret room alley. Following that route, he could see the huge bronze doors along the side, and he very quickly reached the one with the words 9 Universe. Lord Kandeli. Luo Feng bowed at the 3-eyed guard before the door. Kandeli smiled and nodded, after which he closed his eyes for a second and opened them. Not bad, you've improved quite a bit, you have 2 chances to study now. I'm prepared to use one now. Luo Feng emphasized. Your luck is good, there's no one inside right now. Kandeli smiled and pointed at the huge bronze door behind him. With a rumble, the door gradually opened and the thick chaos energy revolved within. The inside seemed like a complete blur. Luo Feng, however, was happy. Thank you, Lord. He rushed into the secret training room. Within the room, the chaos energy revolved around a huge primal chaos tablet. Every chance to study this is extremely valuable. Even though there are many people in Primal Chaos City, occasionally requiring us to queue and wait to enter, however at times there's only me. Luo Feng immediately rushed to stand before the tablet. His gaze landing on the first picture of the tablet, the raindrop picture. That picture had 9 drops, and hiding within it was unbelievable amounts of power and mystery, immediately captivating Luo Feng's attention and consciousness within. Normal warrior's comprehension of the raindrop picture would usually only reach the 100 points level. And right now Luo Feng had about 90 points worth towards the other 8 drops. As for the 1 drop, he had reached the 150 points level. The 9 drops, if one understood all of them, normally they could pass the 3rd level. Luo Feng, however, had 8 of them close to a passing level, and 1 of them fully perfected. What I must do now is not to rush into studying the drizzling rain picture, but to completely reach the perfection level for the raindrop picture. Luo Feng was very clear on what he needed to do. While immersed within the 9 Universe tablet, Luo Feng's large amount of comprehension of the it began to surface. The moment he reached a new height of comprehension, he couldn't help but smile. Come out. A voice entered his mind. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out. The voice got louder constantly, resounding continuously within his mind, forcing Luo Feng to awake from that mystical dream world within and grit his teeth and fly out. What a pity, it's time again. Outside the room, there were already 3 people waiting. What a pity. If only I could stay in there longer. Luo Feng walked along the alley outside the residence. He felt a sense of longing to return in. Studying the tablet was simply too wonderful a feeling. It wasn't the same as the usual mentally tiring study, there wasn't any sense of fatigue at all while staring at the tablet. Even to the point where one didn't have to actively study it. But as long as one got captivated by it, that alone led to much of the comprehension. Right now, as far as the other 8 wonders of the raindrop picture are concerned, I should have passed. Luo Feng thought. If they were considered to be at a level of 90 points before, right now they should all be 100. However, my aim is to get all of them to be at a level of 150 points. Luo Feng smiled. The further he went, the harder it became. However, it was later total of 3 years. One of the reasons was because the evolution took more time. However, the second reason was that it was Luo Feng's fault altogether. As Luo Feng was immersed in his study the past 10 years, the 3 bodies all were training rigorously. Every time he awoke was usually once between 3 to 4 months. The internal world's swallowing of metals was like one's meals. It required frequent doses. Just like a normal person starving for 3 days, after 3 days he'd still be unable to take all 3 days' worth of food in one go. One theory. The internal world's one large intake of metals could usually last for 1 to 2 months. However, as Luo Feng's study normally took 3 to 4 months, every time he woke up, he could only let it at most consume another 1 to 2 months' worth of metals. This slowed down the evolution speed. Luo Feng's studying was extremely important. Since Barbata didn't dare disturb him in critical times, this naturally happened. And whether it was Luo Feng or Barbata, they were both very clear. These 30 years in the primal chaos city were very important. He had to use his full strength to study. As for the delay of 2 to 3 years for the golden horned beast to evolve, that was still a negligible matter. Studying the laws was the more important factor. Rumble, countless golden fogs and energies covered the vast continent. The continent expanded continuously, large amounts of the continent appeared, it took a while for all the tectonic plates to completely form. Everything went silent. The internal world's evolution was a success. From the 9,000 kilometers length and width from before, it had suddenly expanded to 100,000 kilometers. Luo Feng's core within. Within the core, the Whirlpool Galaxy was beautiful. At its core was a big black hole, with 8 arms and 8 little black holes. After the successful evolution of the internal world, immediately the Whirlpool Galaxy began to change at a shocking rate. The grey round ball was like a shedding snake. One layer of the grey outer shell shed off, and this outer layer began to expand and inflate. Bigger and bigger. The outer shell continued to grow, until it was as large as the entire core, and later it grew until the ball's shell even began to fuse with the core itself completely without a sound. This caused Luo Feng's core, internal core, to go through a special change. As the core began to change, the 2 bodies within the internal world too changed. The Golden Horned Beast and the Mosha clan simultaneously evolved. The Golden Horned Beast, which was like a huge black mountain, slowly extended its scaled wings. Simultaneously a shocking change began to happen to its entire body as large amounts of golden fog descended from the skies down low, shrouding the entire scaled surface of the beast. As its body continued to absorb it, one could see with the naked eye as the black dense scales grew in size. Its bones also got thicker and larger, even more condensed. Its claws grew stronger and sharper. Like an armor that covered its entire body, the golden engravings grew along with the body. Not just the exterior, but the internal parts of the Golden Horned Beast too had changes that were even more shocking. Every cell and every bone began to go through an earth-shattering amount of change, a change that occurred right from the very essence within. Universe level to domain lord level, it was a huge evolution in the body's essence. Howl. The Golden Horned Beast raised its head and let out a carefree howl. Not far from what had just happened, a black life crystal filled with incomparably complex golden engravings on its surface began to shoot out golden beams of light. This was the Mosha clan's true appearance. The Mosha clan was basically a life crystal, the energy it released allowed it to take any shape or form. Hence, the Mosha clan's evolution in truth was an evolution of the life crystal. Since their life forms were completely different, their evolutions were different too. For flesh and blood life forms, the main thing was for the body to evolve at the same time as the soul. And for the energy life forms, the life core had to evolve. And the Mosha clan's core was a being of this life crystal. With training, the life crystal could absorb more energy to change its body. Just like a human's body evolution, this life crystal too could get stronger and more solid and durable. However, its evolution process also had a bottleneck. It required willpower, the life crystal, genetic energy, and many other factors working together for it to break through. However, Luo Feng's Mosha clan was unlike the others. As the core of this Mosha clan was not the life crystal, even if this was destroyed, it could still regenerate. Luo Feng's three main bodies weren't important, as they all relied on the main core within. As long as that was fine, they wouldn't die, but if that was destroyed, the three great bodies would die. Right now the main core's soul had broken through to Domain Lord level 1. Hence, the three bodies could all train to that level. The only problematic one was the physical bodies. The Earth human body had a very slow evolution. As for the life crystal, it could evolve extremely quickly with limitless energy absorption. However, the golden horned beast evolved the fastest. Ding! After a few hours, the revolving black life crystal began to emit noises. The entire life crystal had shrunk an entire size. As an extremely small dot that was formed from swallowing countless galaxies, an internal world would be produced and nurtured. This was the process of Domain Lord level 1 to 9. Once the nurturing was successful, a change would happen right at its very core, and the world within would form a true world. That would be the Sector Lord level. Sector Lord, with a true world within, could at a wave of one hand have the power of a world itself. The world of a Sector Lord could actually allow people to survive, store items, etc., similar to a real world. The internal world of a golden horned beast, however, was special. As every single living thing or item placed within would get digested. If too much was placed within and it couldn't digest it, the internal space would explode from it. This internal world would gradually grow. Until Sector Lord level, this was when the internal world would undergo a change in its essence. Only at that time could it allow humans and items to be placed within. And now, it only allowed Luo Feng's body to enter. The golden horned beast's talents are incredible. Its inherited memories are even more shocking, and its lifespan is 10 times that of a human Sector Lord. Yet after many generations of golden horned beast, it is still extremely difficult for them to break through to undying. Many die at the pinnacle of Sector Lords. Luo Feng understood one thing during the evolution to Domain Lord earlier. One had to know. For a Sector Lord to become undying, one had to break his internal world from the shackles, melding it with the crevices within the universe space itself, forming a stable and powerful space, God country. Breaking the shackles. These shackles were the miracle dot from before. This dot would constantly get more condensed as it grew, getting more and more solid. Hence breaking it would be extremely difficult. However, the golden horned beast had it even harder, 10 to 100 times harder than a human. Master, there's someone here to see you. An electronic voice resounded within the training quarters. Luo Feng got up and walked out of the resting room. Opening the door to the living room, outside stood a tall lady dressed in a black robe. Her pupils were purple. Black-robed warrior. Luo Feng thought. Luo Feng, congratulations on passing the 3rd level of the Heavenly Bridge. The black-robed lady smiled. In Primal Chaos City, as long as one passes the 3rd level, it represents that one has reached a certain level in the study of the tablets. Thus, they have earned the right to listen to the sect leaders' lessons. These are the 18 sub-sect leaders in the 9 universe sect and their information. You can go to any one of them to listen to their classes. Following which, she handed over a black-surfaced book about as thick as one's thumb. Thank you. Luo Feng received. Some advice, even though you can go to anyone to listen, your first visit and who you pick is extremely important. The black-robed lady emphasized, I believe that the book explains the details within, I shall not speak more. Luo Feng nodded. Following which he watched as this messenger of the city leader left. Listen to classes. There was no rush now. After all, he had just studied hard for 10 years, passing 2 levels continuously, plus he just broke through to the Domain Lord level. At this time of glee, Luo Feng really wanted to share everything with his family. His eyes were filled with anticipation. It's been a while since I visited my family. I should go see them. Virtual Universe Network, Ganwu Continent. Ganwu Continent's Meng Ka city was an extremely huge city, larger than the Black Dragon Mountain Island by 10 times. Pinghai Company was considered a larger company within this city, ranking amongst the top 100. Pinghai Company's skyscraper, level 86, meeting room. How do you do? Very nice to meet you, Mrs. Luo. It's my honor to be able to meet the Virtual Universe Company's Meng Ka Station, Bo Ti Lai Bureau Chief. Dressed in a red Chinese robe, Shushin was shaking hands with a tall and huge sharp-nosed man. The two of them sat at the two ends of the conference table within the meeting room. Accurately speaking, it's Bo Ti Lai Sai Bureau Chief. The sharp-nosed man smiled. Ha ha, I believe this talk should not have too much stress on Mrs. Luo. Your husband is a high-level member within our virtual universe company. Your Pinghai company becoming one of our flagship companies has many benefits for you. Shushin smiled. My husband may be a majority stockholder, but I decide everything. Mrs. Luo, whatever you have on your mind, just speak. Bo Ti smiled. If everybody simply speaks their mind, anything can be discussed. Firstly, this company has to be controlled by me. Shushin emphasized. Mrs. Luo. Bo Ti smiled. You should know that our virtual universe company, when we buy into such companies with potential, we have to have a certain amount of controlling shares. The lowest we ever go is still 51% of the shares. I understand. I'm only saying that the company has to still be run by me. Your company cannot interfere with the operation, but can only enjoy the benefits and returns. Shushin said. Shushin looked at Bo Ti. I believe Mr. Bo Ti should understand the complexity behind my Pinghai company's restaurant business. 12 times. Definitely not. Bo Ti shook his head. Mr. Bo Ti. Shushin was just about to continue speaking. Suddenly she lowered her head to look at her wrist. On it a small message appeared on the screen. She couldn't help but smile with glee. His finally returned to visit. After a while. At the higher levels of Pinghai company, a group of people passionately sent the Ganwu investment department from the virtual universe company away. Mrs. Luo's intentions I fully understand. Bo Ti smiled. However, 12 times is simply impossible. Please be mentally prepared. As for the statistics you've given me, I will definitely give it to my chief. Thanks. Shushin smiled. Bo Ti left, after which followed by some of his staff. Outside the building, there stopped a flat streamlined-shaped universe ship. The cabin door opened and 8 armored single-horned men received him respectfully. Bo Ti took his staff and flew into the ship. The bodyguards followed suit and the cabin door closed and the ship quickly left. Big Sister Shu, the ingredients our restaurant has ordered. Standing beside Shushin was a short-haired lady. She shouted. I have other matters. I'll let you handle the company affairs. Shushin ordered. Yes. The short-haired lady answered. Shushin waved towards the sky. Immediately a carriage pulled by winged horses began to descend from above. Shushin immediately jumped on. Go to the teleportation point. Go. The coachman shook the reins. The winged horses immediately took off. Virtual Universe, Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-Star Bay Little District. Dad, right now at 9-Star Bay, the entire East region is ours. We've hired the best designers and borrowed from the many constructs of the universe to build. A clean-cut man, with a firm yet friendly voice pointed at the surrounding constructs that were like an imperial palace. Not bad. Luo Feng nodded. Luo Ping, your mum isn't back yet? Luo Feng asked. I've already informed her. Only right now the company headquarters is in the Ganwu continent, and she has to go there every day. You hardly ever return, hence she transferred her appearance point to there and stays in the company. Luo Ping said, under normal circumstances, one's appearance point in the virtual universe would be the home residence. Shushin, however, had set it as her company. Mr. Luo Ping. In the distance a bald fat man with a furry 3M tall pet, with 2 underlings behind him, was walking about carefree. Spotting Luo Ping, he shouted passionately. Back, son. Luo Ping laughed and shouted. This bald fat man had scales on the top of his head, was shocked as he saw Luo Feng. Mr. Luo Ping, this man is. This is my father. Luo Ping smiled. Ah, Lord Luo Feng. The bald fat man bowed respectfully. He bowed till his face reached his fat belly, following which he raised his head and said excitedly, Lord Luo Feng, it's my honor to meet you. I just moved here 8 years ago. I've always been idolizing Lord Luo Feng. I didn't expect to be able to meet you today. It's really an honor for me, Baksun. Luo Feng smiled. How do you do, Baksun? This Baksun was immediately so excited his face flushed red. Dad, Mum is back. Luo Ping pointed in mid-air. Shushin. Luo Fen turned to look. In mid-air, Shushin sat in the carriage and slowly descended. Shushin. Luo Feng immediately ran over. Shushin, who was in the carriage, looked down at Luo Feng, a few tears appearing in her eyes. She waited till the carriage had fully descended before jumping off and landing on the grass. At least you know how to come back. Shushin stared at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was remorseful. How long since you last returned? Shushin stared at him. Luo Feng felt bad to answer her. 10 years. You haven't returned in 10 years. Shushin couldn't help but rage. I know you are studying in Primal Chaos City, but returning once in a while to visit your children, me, your parents, is that so hard? Sorry. Luo Feng said softly. Yes. 10 years. His latest study period in Primal Chaos City was 3 years 9 months, and because time flowed slower in the Primal universe, the 3 years and 9 months there equated to over 10 years in the actual universe. And the virtual universe time flowed according to the actual universe. 10 years. Shushin stared at Luo Feng. All right. Luo Feng gently extended his arms to hug her. I promise I will come back every year in the future, unless something special happens. Owns over 30,000 life planets. Isn't he even more powerful than the Nuolan Shan family from before? Before our house, naturally his very low profile, very amicable. Shushin shot a glance of disdain. Luo Ping, don't mix around so much with such people. Yes, your mother is right. Luo Feng nodded. With difference in status, their vision and perspective was different too. Back when they were nothing but little figures of earth, maybe the Nuolan Shan family was a huge thing. Back son, this level of slave trader was something to be feared. However now, with Luo Feng's bodyguard leader a sector lord, with an order, he could easily destroy the families with power within this little star field. Dad, mother, we have to get to know a little of all the paths of life. Luo Ping smiled. You are really different from your younger brother. Luo Feng couldn't help but exclaim. 30. 30. A booming voice resounded from not too distant. Its second brother. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Since the last time he visited 9-Star Bay District, it had been over 10 years. This return home, Luo Feng discovered, his family was already considered a large family now, even his grandchildren, many had built their families, many things within the Milky Way galaxy regarding the Luo family, were all controlled mostly by his big son Luo Ping and Shushin. As for the younger son Luo Hai, he was a martial arts fanatic. Chasing after the limits of humanity, becoming a strong warrior within the universe. For what? One was for his own dream, the other was for his family and home. Luo Feng stayed in 9-Star Bay for 3 days, before he returned his consciousness back to Primal Chaos City. The only thing that disappointed him was, he didn't meet Hong. From what Thunder God said, Hong seemed to be undergoing a very important training, blocking all messages and calls, completely incommunicable. Level 89 of Ping Hai Company. Shushin stood before the full-sized window, surveying the beautiful and huge city. Dong, dong, dong. Knocks on the door. Come in. Shushin shouted. A graceful-bodied short-haired lady in uniform walked in, smiling. Big Sister Shu, how were the past 3 days? Shushin smiled. Big Sister Shu, this is the document Bo Ti Lai sent. The short-haired lady handed it over. Shushin received it. Virtual Universe Company, it was separated into the business and martial departments. Naturally the both upper echelon members belonged to the core, the upper echelon within the core. Those were the true governing bodies. Business was a very important side of the Virtual Universe Company. However, in this Virtual Universe world, even the Virtual Universe Company didn't undertake all the businesses to handle themselves, as they were very clear, if they monopolized everything, it would adversely affect and limit the economy, affecting and limiting the economy flow in reality itself. Creating a fair market environment, only then would the true superpowers in reality be willing to dish out the money. If it was unfair, monopoly, the huge leviathans and powers, who would dare invest in this place? I'm very curious. The short-haired lady asked sincerely, Big Sister Shu, I've followed you for close to 40 years, our every step in development, even creating a F&B chain according to our China's culture. Many members within are trained on Earth, with barriers around its infrastructure, making others hard to imitate. Our Pinghai chain, the name has long been established. And with large amounts of capital, and melding with Mr. Luo Hua being in charge of the capital investment department, the amount we earn, with Mr. Luo Hua's twofold returns, this level of earnings is extremely quick. Our returns are incomparably exceptional. That plus the Ganwu Universe country, because of Lord Luo Feng, giving us support and protection, our expansion definitely has no problem. There's no need to sell our shares to anyone else. Right? Shushin nodded. Entering the virtual universe and beginning, it's been close to 40 years, this business was akin to another child, how could she bear to share it with others? However, it's different. Shushin said softly, the Virtual Universe Company and the Universe First Bank are completely different. How are they different? The short-haired lady asked curiously. Because, my husband is in the virtual universe company. Shushin turned, looking through the glass windows, at the skies outside. Luo Feng is very exceptional and powerful, on Earth, is the most exceptional. However, because of that is left to be so far behind, like this time, he didn't return for over 10 years. The short-haired lady opened her mouth wide, speechless. Luo Feng was the pride of Earth. However, to Luo Feng's family, he had indeed left them behind. I don't blame him. I'm proud of him. Shushin looked outside, revealing a smile. Only thing is, I don't want him to leave me further and further behind. I wish to be able to stand by his side, the closer the better. Big Sis Shu, the short-haired lady, wanted to speak, but she didn't know what to say. Becoming part of the virtual universe company, I too would become a member within the virtual universe company. Shushin smiled. As long as I can make this business reach a high enough level, I will be absorbed too as an internal core member. When that time comes, I too would be able to enter Yuxian Mountain. Core member. The short-haired lady was shocked. She didn't expect Big Sis Shu's aim to be that high. The one thing I'm really wishing for is to be at Yuxian Mountain, meeting with Luo Feng. Shushin said softly. Humanity's sacred training land, Primal Chaos City, within an unimportant-looking training quarters resting room. Luo Feng sat in a chair, lowering his head to look at the books the black-robed messenger had left before. There were these words on the book. If one is able to pass the 18th level, he would be a true elite amongst humanity, a subsect leader amongst the undying. They will immediately receive the right to become eternal members of Primal Chaos City, also able to open a subsect within the city and accept students, receiving respect from others. And the people who come here to train, as long as they pass the 3rd level, they can go listen to these classes. You can listen to any one of the leaders teach. However, if you want to become a particular leader's student, then the first time you go listen, you have to choose that particular leader as a show of respect, and requesting to be his disciple later. If the leader agrees, then that would be a success. Remember, unless you have no intentions of finding a master, otherwise whoever you want to be a student of, that first attendance has to be at his door, that is respect. Finishing up the text, Luo Feng understood why the black-robed messenger emphasized the importance of the first attendance. Finding a master. Luo Feng frowned. Finding a teacher is good, Luo Feng. Those able to teach in Primal Chaos City are subsect leaders among the Undyings, all with the title Emperor. Barbata shouted excitedly, when you are weak and small, having an absolute being to guide you is an incredibly important matter. For example, if Truyang Emperor hadn't given you the advice to learn floating blood, you might have taken a wrong path like other normal warriors. I already have a teacher. Luo Feng was troubled. No problem. Barbata didn't seem to care. The strong within the universe have incredibly long lifespans. They may find a teacher in the Star Traveler level, another in the universe level, and when they become sector lords, another one after. At different levels of strengths they have different perspectives. The teacher they require will be different too. A warrior having tens of teachers is very normal. Who do I choose? Luo Feng looked at the 18 sub-sect leaders and their information on the book within the 9 universe sect. These were all leaders amongst Undyings. Much stronger than his previous teacher of the Yunmo planet. The Yunmo planet master could barely gain the title official, and these leaders were all strong even amongst the emperors. Many of their disciples were all Undyings. Who do I choose? Who? Luo Feng muttered, very quickly scanning all their information. Within Primal Chaos City, there are a total of 18 leaders under the 9 universe. These 18, 4 of them belong to the Virtual Universe Company. They are Flame Dragon Emperor, Truyang Emperor, 1000 Dream Emperor, and Blade Emperor. They all seem really terrifying. Flame Dragon Emperor. I've seen him in action. Barbata shouted excitedly. Back when your teacher and I entered the universe secret area, enduring a perilous journey through a planet engulfed in ice, I personally saw within that ice, Flame Dragon Emperor immediately became a star and burnt 10 Undyings who surrounded him to a crisp. They couldn't be more dead. He became a star. Luo Feng was shocked. Even more terrifying than a normal star. Undyings could easily destroy a star, however the star that he transformed into, in terms of temperature, was much higher than a normal star, with one move destroying 10 Undyings, of which 2 were humans and the rest were automaton and other races. Flame Dragon Emperor was an extremely terrifying being. Luo Feng held his breath. Even the bastard that killed your teacher back then couldn't kill your teacher in one move. I didn't expect him to actually be teaching here in Primal Chaos City now. Barbata exclaimed. Flame Dragon Emperor, Truyang Emperor, 1000 Dream Emperor, and Blade Emperor. Luo Feng looked at these four's information, his eyes filled with anticipation. The warriors within Primal Chaos City were mostly separated into 5 main groups: Virtual Universe Company, Huge Axe Dojo, Universe First Bank, Universe Galaxy Bank, Universe Mercenary Alliance. Only very few had no huge power backing them. Within a mansion. Ha, Blade Emperor, don't get overconfident. The 8-man warrior Truyang laughed loudly. Why don't you take a look? A man in purple armor and carrying a golden blade on his back laughed loudly. Of you 3, one's an 8-man, another a dragon man, and another always cold and gloomy. Only I look the most like a human of Earth. If he doesn't choose me, who will he choose? Blade, looking for a master doesn't rely on looks. With 2 dragon horns and a face full of red scales, eyes as though they were 2 mini planets. Flame Dragon, in terms of strength, I don't lose to you. Blade Emperor laughed. Every group of geniuses from the competitions had the most outstanding, like this time's was Bolin, even considered the most outstanding for 10 million years. Luo Feng initially didn't gain too much recognition from these 4, however after he passed the 2nd and 3rd level consecutively, it was obvious he had comprehended the first blade form in 10 years. This talent, others didn't know, only these 4 studying the 9 universe tablet were extremely clear. Terrifying. Extremely terrifying. To be able to study the essence of what Lian Luo did with the space laws, one had to be an absolute genius, with strong mentality and comprehension. If one couldn't comprehend the first form in 20 years, that meant he had no hope, and Luo Feng did it in 10. Bolin had too much of a lead initially, if we don't count his initial lead, just in terms of improvement speed. This Luo Feng doesn't lose to Bolin at all. The black-robed man said softly, complimenting, maybe in the past 100 million years there were others comparable to him, however they didn't necessarily pick our 9 universe. Our 9 universe has hardly seen a genius like this in the past 100 million years. Flame Dragon exclaimed. How can we not nurture a genius like that? The 4 all heavily recognized Luo Feng, this sort of rare gem seedling. It was normal for all of them to favor him, because this level of genius, if he didn't fall, would have high chances of later becoming an official or emperor. To be able to nurture a disciple that would become an emperor, their own position would be raised greatly. The student-master relationship was a very reliant one. Blade, no use being confident now, just wait, we'll see who he picks. Truyang rubbed his golden fur on his chin, laughing. Then we'll see. Blade Emperor said confidently. Flame Dragon and 1000 Dream Emperor both laughed. After a few days, in a special spot in the virtual universe, in a majestic shrine floating in the clouds, Truyang immediately appeared within the plaza. In it stood many guards, some tall and short, however they all had one common similarity: they were all 8-man. Be it black fur, golden fur or long-armed, their color, height and structures all had differences, but they were all 8-man. Truyang's expression was heavy as he took big strides through the door of the shrine. Your Majesty! Your Majesty! The guards all bowed respectfully. Truyang immediately rushed into the shrine. In the thrones within there were already 16 other 8-man. All their expressions changed as they saw Truyang enter. What's the matter? Truyang rushed in, his gaze sweeping past the 16, roaring, the name list for the large alliance. How come there's only one slot for my Kahan clan? Truyang, you didn't care about matters being in Primal Chaos City. This is something we and the other leaders discussed and decided on. A 20 tall black fur 8-man's voice rumbled, resounding across the entire hall. Truyang Emperor was indeed an absolute warrior amongst the 8-man race. He was also a being closest to receiving the title knight. He normally didn't care much about the 8-man matters. One thing, I don't wish to bully anyone, but don't take me for a fool. Truyang gazed at everyone. If any such matter happens again, I won't be discussing this in the virtual universe with you, but I'll head straight to where you live. HMPH. Finishing, Truyang turned and left. 8-man, they were highly populated throughout the humanity of the universe, they could be seen anywhere. But even the 8-man race was separated into tens of thousands of clans. This 8-man sacred shrine was the upper echelon of all of them. This Truyang actually bothers about such matters. Isn't he training in Primal Chaos City to become a knight? A skinny 8-man leader with fiery red eyes said softly. Looks like Truyang still keeps a watch on his Kahan clan. These leaders were helpless. Part 1 end here.